Shadow of a cat. Spooky. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This week I'm going to teach you all something that has been highly requested. I'm going to show you all how to cast a circle. My sister's dog is right there and she wants me to pet her. She's mad at me. You're so cute! Yes, you're cute. Oh, I'm gonna pet you. I'm gonna pet you. How can I resist it? Don't distract me. So normally when I cast a circle, I would be at my altar doing a spell or a ritual, or I might even be outside doing a spell or a ritual. But either way, I would normally have an altar set up in front of me with all my altar supplies, all my tools that I need, anything that I need for that specific spell or ritual. So I would have everything that I needed laid out in front of me. But for the sake of this video, I came downstairs in my house so I can have more space to film everything that I need to film to show you guys how to cast a circle. When you're getting ready to cast your circle, have your altar set up, whatever that means for you. Maybe you're somebody like me who likes to have a very extravagant and very filled altar with a lot of objects and supplies. Or maybe you're more minimalist about it and you don't feel like you need a lot of objects. That's just as well. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, part of the reason why I decided to not bring all my altar supplies with me to cast this circle is to show you guys that you don't need anything to cast a circle. There are a lot of people who say that you need all these tools to cast a circle. The tools help and the tools are nice and they are going to give you a bit of an easier time visualizing the circle and casting the circle and sending energy in different directions and things, but they're not essential. You can do this without any supplies. So let's talk about what casting a circle is and why we do it. Casting a circle is like opening sacred space. So when you cast a circle, you're saying to the universe, God and goddess, whatever you refer to divinity as, that you are about to do something, that you are asking for them to be present, and that you are going to be working on something, whether that be a spell or a ritual. So casting a circle opens up that sacred space and makes all your entities and deities and spirits and guides aware of the fact that you're about to do a magical working. So they hear this and they see this and they come to the edge of the circle to aid you, and not only to aid you, but to protect you. That's the main function of a sacred circle. When you cast a circle, you're casting a circle of protection. So a lot of people describe it as kind of setting up watchtowers at the edge of your sacred space. So that's what casting a circle is. You're setting up these watchtowers for, if you're Wiccan, God and goddess, or if you're pagan and you work with other entities and deities, or if you're more shamanic and you just work with your spirit guides, you're inviting them to sit in those watchtowers at the edge of your circle that you're creating to watch over you during your magical practice. There are beings of chaos and the shadow throughout the world. So those watchtowers filled with your spirits, your guides, goddess and god, any of the deities that you work with, they will help to watch over you while you do your spell or your ritual. They'll keep you safe and make sure that only beings of light are helping to work with you. So if you're working on something that's a little bit more of the shadow, we'll talk about later on how you can open sacred space without necessarily putting a barrier up between you and the shadow, because that would inhibit your work if you're working with the shadow. But for most rites and spells and rituals, casting a circle works just fine because you do want a little bit of protection. And casting a circle is not essential. A lot of people say that casting a circle is necessary. If you aren't casting a circle, you're not doing magic right, or your magic won't be successful if you don't cast a circle. That might be true. It might be true for you. You might find that that's what happens for you. But I do know many people, many witches and Wiccans and pagans, who don't ever cast a circle because it doesn't feel right for them. So if casting a circle doesn't resonate with you, then just throw it out and don't do it. And then there are other people who cast a circle every single time they do anything spiritual. So it's all up to you. It's all about personal preference. I would recommend, though, that even if you don't feel called to cast a circle, give it a try once. It's just to make sure that it's not right for you. And then if you try it once and you're like, I don't like this for whatever reason, that's totally fine and you don't ever have to do it again if you don't want. It could be that for a while it doesn't resonate with your practice to cast a circle, and then in a few years you're suddenly feeling called to cast a circle. So take it or leave it. Do it whenever you want. Do it for some things and not other things. It's up to you. So let's get into casting the circle. First thing that we're going to do is, like we said before, make sure that all of your supplies are laid out. Make sure that you're not missing anything. Really think about it. Go through the ritual or the spell in your mind. Think about everything that you'll need at each point and make sure that you have it all with you. Because once we cast this circle, we're not going to be able to get up and leave the circle because that will break the circle and you just have to cast it again. So make sure you have everything you need before you get started. There are ways to be able to leave the sacred circle and return without damaging it, but that's a lot more advanced and we will talk about that in future videos. But for now, let's just talk about the basics of casting the circle. So you have everything you need for your altar and you're ready to get started. I recommend before you do anything, just spend a couple minutes sitting in front of your altar, in front of your supplies, thinking about what you're going to be performing in this sacred circle, settling your energies, and just being for a couple minutes. Do this until you feel settled, and until you feel empowered enough to cast a circle. It might take 5 minutes, might take 10 minutes, might take just 2 minutes. Just take a couple minutes to settle yourself, ground yourself into the earth, and just be in the space. You're not necessarily meditating, but you're just sitting with yourself, letting the energy settle around you before you begin your magical working. So now, after that, you're going to cleanse the space. People have a lot of different ways of cleansing their space. My pagan practice is very much so Kemetic. Kemeticism comes from ancient Egypt. It's the religion of ancient Egypt, but a little bit different because it's our modern take on it. So the way that I cleanse my space comes from a more Kemetic style. I use water to cleanse my space. And the way I do this is I take a water that I have collected. You can use water just straight from the sink if you have to. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not quite as nice as water that has been given to you from the earth, that you've collected with honor and respect from the earth. But water from the sink is fine. It'll work just as well. It's not quite as delightful. It doesn't feel quite as nice, but it will work. And I have a lot of different waters that I use, but today I'm going to be using a rainwater that I collected. So I will take this water and I will walk in a clockwise direction 3 times around the perimeter of the circle that I'm going to cast. And while I'm walking 3 times around the circle, I take some water in my hands. I just kind of splash it on my hands like this, and then I flick it around. And I do this as I walk around 3 times. So flicking water continuously for those 3 clockwise rotations around the circle. Once I finish my 3rd way around, I will sit back down and I'm ready to open my circle. You can feel free to cast your circle the way that I'm going to, or you can do it more by the book or whatever way that feels right to you. I've seen a lot of different witches cast their circle a lot of different ways. Some people do it very extravagantly. Some people stomp their feet. Some people only cast the circle in their mind and they don't say anything. It's all about what works for you. So the way you cast a circle is you call on each direction and each element to be present for this ritual or spell. So you can start in any direction you want. I personally start in the east. So I will begin by calling on the direction east and the element that I feel is connected to east. I personally call east first, and I feel that east is connected to water. And I usually just ad-lib what I want to say in the moment, so it'll always be a variation of the following. I call on the spirits of the east and the spirits of water. I ask that you be present for this magical rite and that you aid me and protect me during this magical working. And you can make it as elaborate as you want. You can say more about the direction of east. You can say more about the element of water. It's all up to you. Then once you feel the presence of east and water, you'll know when they arrive. Thank them for coming. Something as simple as, thank you for being here, or I feel your presence and I honor your presence. Then you'll continue in whatever way you feel called to continue. I personally go from east to west. So then I will say, I call on the direction west and the element of earth. Do what feels right for you if you feel like a different element goes with the west. So I'll call on the direction west. I'll call on the spirits of the element. Once they arrive, I will thank them for their presence just as I did before. Next, I will move to the south. I call on the direction south. I call on the element of fire, which is what I feel goes with south. And I might say a little bit more about the element and the direction that I'm calling. Depending on the magical rite that I'm doing, I might ask for a certain attribute of fire to be present. And then I will finish casting the circle by calling on the direction north. I call on the direction north and the element of air. And then I will wait for them to arrive. I will thank them for their presence. I will honor their presence. And then with that, my circle is cast. Remember that you can pair any direction with any element depending on what feels right to you. You might come across people who say that if you're not pairing things a certain way, it's not right, or if you're not starting in a certain direction, it's not right. Don't listen to those people. You can do it whatever way feels right to you. As long as it feels right to you, you'll have a good outcome. And I encourage you to personalize the ways that you call on the directions and the elements. Make sure that they feel that you want them there and that you personally want them there for your own specific reasons. So you can read straight from a book ways to invoke an element and a direction. That's totally fine. But I encourage you to ad-lib however you're feeling about that element and direction, or even to write something of your own to say during that casting. And once the circle is cast, like I said before, there is a energetic boundary. So you may feel suddenly that the air around you is very charged. You may suddenly feel very calm and very settled. You may suddenly feel very focused and very alert. All these things could happen. So notice what happens for you when you cast your circle and how you feel. You can even also, as an addition, call on God and Goddess to watch over your circle if you're Wiccan and that makes sense for your practice. So once the circle is cast, you are ready to do your spell or ritual. So do that spell or ritual that you were planning to do, and once you're done with it, you'll close the circle. You'll close the circle the same way that you cast it, by calling in each direction and each element, and thanking them for being present and releasing them. You can say this however you want, and you can do this in whatever order you want. You can do the exact same order that you did when you opened the circle, or you can do the opposite as a way of closing it. You can start with the direction that you did last time, or you can do the exact same order you did before, whatever resonates with you. For me, I do it in reverse, so I'll say direction of south, element of fire, I thank you for being present for this magical rite. I thank you for your support and your cleansing, and I release you now until next rite. And you can say this however you want, word it however you like. Once you've released each direction and each element, the circle lifts away and you have completed your entire magical rite. So try this out and see how it goes for you. Some other little tips and tricks. Some people like to line the outline of their circle with tangible objects to help them visualize the circle. And think of the circle as more of a sphere and less of a flat circle. The sphere will go over you and encompass you, and even some people say down into the earth and back up through the earth and over you and encompass you. So it's more of a sphere and less of a flat circle. But some people like to line the edge of their circle with salt for protection. Some people like to line their circle with quartz points for power. I've done both. Both are great, depending on what you're doing, but feel free to give that a try too. Do keep in mind that if you put something on the ground, if you have pets, you got to be careful. They might eat something they're not supposed to. And be careful with your floors putting random things on your ground like salt. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that this helped you guys understand how to cast a circle. If you cast your first circle, let me know how it goes. If you have different ways of casting your circle, leave those in the comments and we'll share our different methods. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a like if you found it helpful, and subscribe so you don't miss any of my future videos. I upload new videos every single week. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Bye.